Alright, let's record a podcast. Let's not fall over. I had a whole cider. Man, somebody's drunk.
Whole cider and only one slice of pizza.
Oh, man.
So,
You know,
it's overloaded.
they say if you drink alcoholic beverage, always eat a whole pizza with it. That's the only way to balance it out.
Exactly.
It's an important thing.
Yeah. So, if you can only have three alcoholic beverages an hour, then only 3 pizzas an hour as well.
Yeah, you don't want to eat more than 3 pizzas in an hour.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of all these people eating too much pizza and then driving a car?
Fuck that.
Fuck that, yeah.
Like,
It's
seriously.
so hard to drive after eating all that pizza. You're like, oh, pizza.
What if you're lactose intolerant? What if you have to, like...
You're like, oh, pizza.
Oh.
Oh, I'm dead because my throat closed because that's what happens when I drink milk, right? That's how lactose intolerant works?
I don't think so. I think it's something else.
I'm pretty sure that's how lactose intolerant is.
Maybe.
Hey, welcome to the Fan Friction podcast, where we read fan fiction and then we talk about video games. I'm Stu.
And I'm Andy.
And we fired Tim.
That asshole.
That fucking guy.
I can't believe he fucked up the Dora the Explorer thing. Like,
see, some of you might have thought after the last podcast Tim was just going to show up magically and it wouldn't make any sense. Like, why? Because, we fired him at the end of it. No, he's gone. We have fired him from the podcast.
There's no way he's coming back.
There's no way. He'll never be back on anything that we do.
I don't know where he is.
Probably dead.
Or at least homeless.
At least homeless.
At least
Might as well be dead if you're homeless, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I say as I burn my money cigar.
Yeah.
Alright, so you want to read some fan fiction?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Alright, so last week we read chapters 1 and 2 of The Pirate and the Prince. The Prince and the Pirate. Let's sum up what happened last time.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I was so dejected with what Tim did that I don't remember that well.
Well, if I remember correctly, so Sabrina is an original character, is an OC from Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Pirates of the Caribbean. So she's a pirate, but she can also travel between worlds, so Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter,
yep.
And she's hundreds of years old. She's already ran into Legolas, and there was like some...
Oh, it's all coming back to me now.
Slight romance there. And then she was in her room, and a dung bomb went off, and they had to clean because magic doesn't work in Middle-earth.
Apparently.
I didn't really get that one.
Yeah.
No. So, chapter 2 ended with her... She was late for the council meeting. So, here we go, on her way to the council meeting. You wanna start this one?
I can start it off.
Alright.
Sabrina sprinted through Elrom's gardens as fast as she could. Her lungs felt like they were going to burst. The trees around her were blurs of green. She kicked up dried gold and red leaves. Yeah.
Oh, wait. She underlined it rather than using quotation marks. Oh, I guess it's because it's an internal thought. Oh no, please don't let me be late. Please don't let me be late. She begged fiercely as she sprinted. Finally, the garden where the council was being held came into view. The trees stood exceptionally tall, and every now and then a gold leaf would flutter down from the surrounding trees. The council members were situated in a circle. They were sitting in beautiful stone chairs with Elrond at the front with an exceptionally decorated throne, and there was what seemed to be a stone pedestal in the middle. That was a long sentence.
There was a break in there.
No.
There were 2.
There were commas.
That was 4 sentences.
That was 4 sentences as in one. There were no periods.
No, there were...
No, but the last sentence there. The council situated...
Okay.
With
that is a long
sedans.
sentence. I thought you were saying the whole bit
I'm
you read. No.
Jax Pearl, give her a little more credit than that.
No, okay, anyways. Sabrina slowed down to walk. They were just about to start. Sabrina quietly took her spot next to Legolas.
Ooh. Strangers from distant lands, friends of old, Elrond began. You have been summoned here for one purpose. To answer the threat of Mordor. Present the ring, Frodo. Elrond gestured to the stone pedestal.
Frodo, a hobbit with curly brown hair and big blue eyes, approached the pedestal looking timid. When there, he placed a plain gold ring upon the stone.
When there, he placed a gold stone. Immediately, Sabrina had the urge to run up and snatch the ring and run away with it. She fought the urge with some difficulty. Silence followed. Then a man in grand clothes and a fur cloak broke the silence.
"It is a gift," he said. "A gift to the foes of Mordor. Why not use this ring? Long has my father, the steward of Gondor, kept the forces of Mordor at bay. By the blood of our people, your lands are kept safe. Let Gondor have the ring. Let us use it against the enemy."
This sounds familiar.
I'm pretty sure that the last, like, the paragraph before that I read, not yours, and the paragraph I just read are almost straight from the movie, but not the book.
I couldn't draw.
Or something.
I'm going to say Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I think it's from that movie.
Yeah.
He seemed elated at the idea, but another man, this one dressed more humbly and with tattered black clothes, ruined his excitement.
"How would you use such a weapon?" Sabrina asked. "As bribery? I think it will bring Gondor destruction by just being there. Sauron will take it by force. Bribery is useless." That was such a female voice.
Bribery is useless. What? You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone. It has no other master.
The man who spoke first, seemed angered by this.
"And what would a ranger and a woman know of this?" See, I don't know if that was the line from that movie.
I don't think it
But,
was.
well, I think she was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ranger in question just stared back coldly. Sabrina, on the other hand, was on the verge of losing her temper completely.
Well, Sabrina was started to get annoyed.
Started to get annoyed
by the man. He seemed self-absorbed and arrogant. Apparently Legolas was thinking something along the same lines because he stood up angrily.
"This is no mere ranger," he snarled. "This is Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You owe him your allegiance."
Sabrina was a bit hurt that no one had stood up for her, but she pushed it aside.
The man looked at Aragorn again.
"Aragorn," he said incredulous, as you could tell from my voice. "This is Isildur's the heir?
Yeah.
Isildur?
Isildur's, I think.
Is that?
I think it's, yeah.
I thought it was said differently.
That's I don't know.
Yeah. Next line.
An heir to the throne of Gondor, Legolas said fiercely. That wasn't very fierce, but...
"Have thou now, Legolas," Aragorn said. "Sit down, Legolas."
Legolas sat down with one last glare at the man.
The man was not thrilled. "Gondor has no king. Gondor needs no king," he said before sitting back down himself.
Gandalf now spoke. "Aragorn is right. We cannot use it."
Elrond stood from his chair. "You have only one choice. The ring must be destroyed."
The man looked distraught, and there was silence, until a dwarf with light brown hair and a large brown beard that covered half his face stood up.
"Then what are we waiting for?" He picked up his axe and lifted it above his head. He swung down and hit the ring with all his might. But upon contact, the axe shattered. The force blew him back. His comrades got up immediately to help him. He looked a bit dazed.
"The ring cannot be destroyed, Gimli, son of Gloin, by any weapon we here possess," Elrond informed the dazed dwarf.
Familiar.
The ring was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade. It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came.
I'm jealous of what you get to say in a second.
One of you must do this.
Stunned silence followed, but the man once again broke the silence.
"One cannot simply walk into Mordor.
Internet!
Its black gates are guarded by more than just orcs. There's evil there that does not sleep. The great eye is ever watchful. 'Tis barren wasteland, riddled with fire and ash. The very air you breathe is poisonous fume. Not with 10,000 men could you do this."
"One does not simply walk into Mordor." Legolas stood up a second time. "Have you heard nothing that Lord Elrond has said? The ring must be destroyed."
Gimli also stood. That's a very short line for me. Whoa.
Whoa. And I suppose...
Wait, did anyone notice him stands?
Oh!
I don't know.
No, they still think he's sitting. "Oh, And I suppose you think you're the one to do it.
The man joined the other two.
What happens if we should fail? What happens when Sauron takes back what is his?
I would die before I see the rings in the hand of an elf, Gimli declared.
This enraged the elves, including Sabrina. I don't think she's an elf, though. They all stood and started arguing with the dwarves. All in one sentence. And started arguing with the dwarves. How dare they insult the elves? They are better suited to bear the ring. For numbers of reasons.
I guess the elf thing would explain the hundreds of years of life.
Right? Maybe?
So maybe she's an elf. We don't know.
Maybe she's an elf?
The men soon joined along with Gandalf. Elrond sat on his throne with his hand over his eyes. It went on like this for a while until a voice shouted above the others. It went on. It went on like this.
WHEN. On like this.
I paused when reading that, like before I read that, to try to figure out how to say it. It was that hard.
It went on like this. I will take it. It was Frodo. I will take the ring to Mordor, though I do not know the way.
Gandalf looked at the hobbit admiringly.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo, as long as it's yours to bear, he said, walking over to Frodo, placing his hand on his shoulder. It's such... What movie is this? It's so familiar!
Aragorn, who had remained seated, now stood and knelt before the hobbit.
If by my life or death I can protect you, I will. You have my sword.
And you have my bow, said Legolas in too deep a voice.
And my axe, piped up Gimli.
Sabrina made a split decision.
And my magic! I'm not sure why I gave her that voice. If it works, she added silently, half praying. This started another uproar. Sabrina heard many shouts like, a woman? Fighting? Or, send her back to the kitchen where she belongs. But again, no one stood up for her.
Why are women treated so poorly, she thought, deeply hurt. The shouting continued for a couple more minutes until Elrond had had enough.
Silence! He shouted over the voices. Everyone shushed immediately. If Sabrina wishes to go, then that is her choice.
Sabrina was still too hurt to say anything.
Still too hurt. But no extra O there.
No extra. Yeah, that's confusing.
The man walked slowly towards the group that had started to gather.
You carry the fate of us all, little one, he said. If this is indeed the rule of the council, then Gondor shall see it done.
There! Another hobbit came dashing through the bushes. He was quite fat and had blonde curls. No E at the end of blonde, though. Mr. Frodo, not going anywhere without me.
Mr. Frodo!
Mr. Frodo, not going anywhere without me. Rudy!
No, indeed. For it is quite difficult to separate you two.
It is quite difficult.
Wait, this is a line, but there was no quotation mark at the beginning. Someone is saying this, and I was gonna...
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So this is Elrond.
Someone saying it.
No, indeed. For it is quite difficult to separate you two. Quite difficult to separate you two, even when he is summoned to a secret council. And you are not, Elrond said with a smile.
Oi! We're coming too! Two punk rock hobbits yelled. No, two more hobbits came running out of hiding. They reminded Sabrina of Fred and George, except that they weren't twins, and about half their size, but had the same mischievous look on their face. You'll have to send us away, tied up in sacks, to stop us, said the taller one.
Yeah,
another long sentence.
No problem, I'd send them away.
In sacks, easy, they're small.
Yeah. Besides, you need people of intelligence on this sort of mission, quest, thing, the other added.
Well, that rules you out, Pip, the tall one said.
Neither of them are tall.
Neither one of them.
10 companions. Very well then. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring, Elrond declared.
Great, said Pip. So where are we going? And that was all of Chapter 3.
All of Chapter 3.
Let's leave it at that. I think we'll... You know, I got this vibe where this fanfiction's gonna go. There's a movie it's similar to, but I couldn't put my finger on what it is.
But I don't know if it's going to suddenly turn into another movie or not. Or
See, that's the thing. It could go anywhere, man. Next chapter could be Terminator. You don't know with X Jax Pearl's X.
You never know.
So the person just watched a scene in a movie, which, if you know the name to it, post it below. I'm confused. And I think just kind of added their own little things in there. I guess that's just fan fiction in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Oh, fan fiction.
Oh, fan fiction.
Oh well, let's change the topic. Have you been playing any video games lately, Andy?
I've been playing Loadout recently, which is kind of a fun game.
You're showing me.
A lot of interesting, not really, I guess, mechanics. It's a third-person, over-the-shoulder shooter. Has ridiculous, as the names would imply, number of loadouts and gun combinations. I think it's something like 46 million gun combinations or something ridiculous.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Because you can customize like a bunch of different parts of the gun, right?
Yeah.
So have you, in playing this, felt like somebody has like really overpowered guns?
It depends on the situation. So it's generally pretty balanced. There are some things that are obviously much better than others. So a lot of the things that either delay your reload time or things like that are pretty bad.
There's guns that delay reload time?
Well, certain additions that may add damage or may add fire rate, but they add to reload time. So you can put up more damage faster, or you have higher accuracy for when you're shooting, but the reload time becomes greater in the end. So it balances out. Okay. So every part you add has a positive and negative element to it. So all the guns remain balanced.
That's pretty cool. Because I saw you earlier and you built that rocket gun, and that was pretty cool. But I'm intrigued to see all the different combinations. Did you ever play Army of Two?
I didn't actually play Army of Two.
Army of Two was kind of similar. It's more realistic than Loadout, but you can actually you could customize your guns with like different like stocks and barrels and things like that, and these would actually affect your gun. And the whole game was actually based on. Because it's Army of Two, so there's two guys. So one guy, by shooting your gun, you gain aggro, and the other guy loses it. And then you can have the other guy sneak around and do stuff like that. But you can do all sorts of stuff, like you can add stuff to your gun to make it louder so that people will pay more attention. And the biggest one is you can paint your gun like camo and stuff like that. You can paint your guns gold. And that boosts your aggro rate.
Yeah. That asshole with golden guns running around shooting all our comrades. You
can get a golden rocket launcher.
That is awesome.
You can get golden rocket launcher, and you can get diamond encrusted grenades.
That sounds expensive.
It's very expensive. It's one of the more expensive upgrades in the game. It's pretty fun though. They've had 3. The original's pretty good. The second one is good, but it gets a little weird, and I haven't played the third one. Mm-hmm. Devil's Cartel. Yeah, but it's good. It's kind of that similar sort of thing where you can combine different stuff. But I've never had a gun that I felt like, oh, this is overpowered. It's just like, do you want a scope on your gun or not? You know, you can upgrade the barrel.
I like those kinds of games because they give you the flexibility to find what you really want to play with.
Yeah. Like if you like playing or it's a third-person shooter, but if you like playing with a shotgun, you can get a shotgun early on and just keep upgrading it and use the shotgun pretty much the rest of the game, which is cool. You know, because I'm a guy who likes using close-range weapons in my shooter, which is kind of silly because, if you're shooting bullets, you might as well stay far away.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've had it for forever.
I've only been playing Loadout for a week, so not that many hours yet. So haven't gotten into the advanced options yet. At this point, there aren't that many. Oh, there are a lot of game modes. But there isn't a lot of custom matchmaking and that kind of stuff yet. Although the matchmaking,
just deathmatch, or
no, there's a capture the flag, which has the twist of the flag is a giant hammer, and
that's awesome.
It works so that when a hammer is being carried by the other team, you can't capture. So you have to force the other team to drop their hammer. So your flag basically has to be at your base for you to turn it in. And also
okay.
the hammer is one of the only, like, it's the only locked melee weapon in the game. You also have melee with any gun in the game, but it's the only locked melee only thing in the game that I've seen so far. And it's an instant kill on anyone. So when you're the flag runner, you can actually hurt people, which is kind of awesome.
That's pretty good. Because have you ever played like Capture the Flag in Halo? Like you can kill people with the flag, and it's awesome because if both players have the flag and one kills the other, you get the guy goes like you get like a jousting medal or something. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I had a moment in loadout yesterday. I was running back across the map. I was about 2/3 of the way across. And I see standing on the other side of a bridge with walls the other hammer guy running towards me, and he stops. And I keep running at him, and at the last second, I jump and go to the side, and he swings and misses, and I run by him, and my teammates end up killing him, and I capture.
That's pretty good.
It was just like perfect timing.
I would have been stupid and gone for the kill. So
yeah,
probably a better choice.
I don't know. Could have worked out either way, but. He definitely went for the kill, and it has that momentary lock of direction. And,
right.
It's a straight bridge. I know he's going to swing straight, so...
Right, especially when you're running just at him.
Yeah. So, and with loadout physics, you can, because the bridge has walls, you jump into one of those, and you kind of, double jump kick off it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you've been playing, computer shooters for a while.
Yeah.
So you kind of have, the metagame of it down.
Kind of, and I'm pretty good strategically in terms of finding routes and moving past and cover and that kind of stuff. Loadout, like a lot of third-person over-the-shoulder games, you have a cover mechanic. Mm. This game has zero of that, and that's much like a lot of the games that I've played before. So everything in that game is about movement, and you can use cover, but it's all about speed and jumping to cover and moving quickly. And probably 99% of the kills in the game are done while flying through the air. Just because everyone's jumping constantly, because it's a great way to avoid damage.
Yeah, makes sense, because it's harder to shoot jumping targets. That's a strategy in Halo. Also, it's I know that because I use the assault rifle, if I'm going for somebody, I jump just so that my head is in a slightly different position. It doesn't work against people who know what they're doing in that game, though.
Yeah. The reverse for me in some games, because... it depends on the game. In TF2, if you're playing a scout, you will jump around and you'll use that double jump. Often in other games, it's not as in that game with other classes, it's not as important unless you're going up against a sniper for some reason, because they're the only class that can do extra damage by headshotting you.
Oh, really?
Right?
That's the only class that does extra headshot damage?
Yep.
Huh.
The medic has a gun, like a Crusader's crossbow weapon. I don't think it does headshot damage, though.
Interesting.
But it's also a long-range projectile.
I thought that was the thing about that game. If you got headshots, it did more damage.
Nope. Only with the sniper, and only while zoomed in. So
while zoomed in?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
In which case it does triple whatever your damage would be.
Oh.
And one of the key sniper mechanics in TF2 that isn't replicated in a lot of games is that the longer you're scoped in, the more damage you do.
Oh, wow.
Up to a limit. So, shooting no scope is 50 damage, and the lowest class in the game has 125 health. So, it would take 3 no scopes to kill. If you zoom in, and it's even just a blink, like a quick scope, it does triple that. So, it does 125. So, it'll kill all the lowest classes in the game, which are 4 out of the 9.
Okay, just shooting them anywhere?
Yep. Shooting them only in the head.
Oh, okay.
So, you scope in, you shoot them in the head. Because you can only get the headshot when you're scoped.
Right.
You'll get triple the damage. The scope damage scales from 50 damage base up to 150, which on a headshot is 450. And the highest health class in the game is the heavy at 300.
Oh, okay.
And every class can be overhealed by a medic to a maximum of 50% above their normal health, which for a heavy is 450.
So it's just enough to kill him.
Just enough to kill a heavy if you fully charge a headshot and shoot him in the head.
How long do you have to sit there, scoped in?
I think it's 4 or 5 seconds, I think is the total time, scope time. There are new rifles and different ones that scope differently.
Okay.
And do different damages. There's one that once you've gotten a few headshots, it will stay zoomed, so it doesn't come out and do the reload animation.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And things like that.
Does that game have bullet drop at all?
No, 0 bullet drop. It's all point-to-point shooting. And there's actually a mix of projectile types. So things like the bullets for the sniper rifle are instantaneous. There's no travel time. It is instantly hitting. And a lot of the weapons are based that way, but some are done with random scatter. So things like scatterguns, shotguns, and the minigun for the heavy all actually shoot a pattern of holes that are also instantaneous. And all of them have drop-off damage over distance.
Oh, okay.
So
I kind of see how that works.
Yeah, and it's sort of it's kind of like a real shotgun. Like a real shotgun, you may have like 12 pellets in, right? Mm-hmm. And it counts how many of those pellets hit in its random scatter shot every time you shoot.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like when we were playing Doom last week, it's kind of the same thing, where it's like when you shoot the shotgun, it actually shoots 3 shots out. So if you're close range, all 3 of those hit.
Yeah.
But like you're less likely over longer range to hit with all 3. And actually, the BFG in Doom games, it actually works like a shotgun too.
Huh?
Though you don't see the projectiles, it's like it's just one big blob. There are it's the same kind of idea. It's like if you want to get the most out of the BFG, you need to be like right up close.
Now, does it just scale over distance, or does it actually?
I think it's just harder for all of those things to hit. Because I know in Doom 1, you can kill guys really far away with the shotgun.
So I'm wondering whether it, at 0 to 5 meters, it hits all 3. At 5 to 10, it hits 2. Beyond that, it hits 1. Or whether it's something that
I think it's like a
that
cone.
has a chance at different distances.
I think it's like a cone, and just like the further out you are, the more spread out that cone gets over a distance.
And the thing I think it's not unique about TF2, but it was a game that came out in 2007, right? It was a PC shooter, and how that shotgun spread worked, and it's actually how a lot of Source Engine games work, is it distributes that cone over distance, and then it randomly places the BBs within that cone. Right? And then it's only the ones that hit over a hitbox.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of shotguns in games seem to work for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just because there are times where you'll shoot. If you're at close range, okay, you're probably gonna kill them. Middle distance, I'll shoot at somebody and just not kill them. It's a little depressing. Though if you use the shotgun in Halo 4, incredible. It's not a long range weapon, but middle distance, you're getting messed up. Love it. It's beautiful.
That's why it's a little bit interesting, because there's still some bullet variation in those games, even with things like the sniper rifle, although albeit slight. But TF2 has this kind of bifurcated where the scatter shot type weapons use the randomization, and any of the point shot weapons shoot exactly there. Pistols don't count, but all the sniper rifles count, and I think the spy's pistols count, and they shoot perfectly straight.
Which is kind of nice, because with classes like that, you need to know where that bullet's going.
I should also say the spy has one gun that headshots as well.
Oh, there you go.
And does critical damage in headshots. So
okay,
that exists.
It's the same kind of thing, 3 times damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has a slower, it has its downsides to balance it. It has a slower, it's called the Ambassador, it has a slower reload time and a slower shot time. And when you shoot, then it actually adds that scatter shot element, right? Okay. So you shoot over distance, and for a 3/4 of a second cooldown time, or half second, something like that, the aiming reticle is larger and it can scatter over that area. But it cools down over that time. It'll come back to a point.
Okay, so at a certain point, further away, it's not as spread out.
Yeah. So it'll be a perfectly accurate shot on the first shot, and after that shot, the recoil, in a lot of games, it spreads the how far the aiming reticle goes, which indicates where the
I sneezed.
Oh, sneeze.
Ah!
Which indicates how wide the bullet might travel. Right.
I'm allergic to the ambassador.
Yeah, allergic to the ambassador.
Yeah.
Of which country? That's the question.
Of Spy Country.
Spy country.
That sneeze took a lot out of me, man.
Yeah. But, yes.
My brain went somewhere completely different after that sneeze. I can't remember if I've asked this on the podcast. What is like the worst game that you've played?
That's tough.
And I think I've asked you this before. What's the worst game that you've played and beaten? Because I think that changes the question up. Because there's some bad games out there.
I haven't beaten a lot of games. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Because you play a lot of demos.
I play a lot of demos, and I play a lot of games that don't have endings. So,
Like, what do you mean? Oh, like shooters?
shooters and things
Okay.
that, like, well, even if there's like a campaign mode, I don't usually play that, anyways, or at least not extensively. I don't know. Can't think of a worst game that I've finished. I've finished a few, but not a lot.
You have just a worst general game.
It's also a tough one because usually the ones that are like worse in terms of like coding and like gameplay are just hilarious to play. So they're still not bad games for that reason.
It kind of varies though. Like, did you ever play any of the what do you call it? Devil May Cry games?
I did not play any of the Devil May Cry games. I've watched many of them played.
Like, I've been playing Devil May Cry, like the new one that came out, and love it. Like, it's so fun. It's a great game. But I've played all of them, and the thing about it, like, 1 is fun, 3, 4 good games. Really like the new one. And I was thinking about it, like, man, I maybe for fan fiction, I could play through all of them. Just kind of have them all up there just for fun. I forgot. 2 is like the worst game ever made. It's like you got games that are so bad they're funny, but then like Devil May Cry 2 is like it's got fixed camera angles, but the camera angles are in the worst positions. Mm-hmm. It's like there are just points where like your guy is like this speck and you have to do like a jumping puzzle.
Yeah, and you can't figure out like which way is which direction.
Exactly. Like forward is not forward. It's like forward based on where your character
is pointing,
is looking. Like,
yeah,
so bad. I don't know how I beat that game. Yeah. It's just one of those games that like I look at and I'm like, I could have done something else with my time.
I think that's the reason why I don't feel like I've finished a bad game. Because I'm pretty sure I would have just stopped playing it long before I finished it.
See, that's kind of how I feel now. There's a lot of games from when I was younger that I played so much, and they're awful games. Like, you ever play Jet Li Rise to Honor?
No, did not play.
Do you know anything about Jet Li Rise to Honor?
I don't think I do.
So, Jet Li Rise to Honor is a fantastic game because it stars Jet Li. It's like a kung fu movie kind of thing, but the controls, rather than kicking being a button, you actually move the right thumbstick in the direction to attack enemies. And at first it sounds kind of cool because when you're attacked by multiple guys, you can like hit one guy, then move the stick the other direction to hit another, and that works well. But when you're fighting one guy, you have to hit the thumbstick in the same direction multiple times. It's so tiring. And the enemies are so uncreative, and like you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over in different areas. But I played the crap out of that game when I was young, man. Like, I don't know if I beat it, but I got really far. I think I might need to play that one for fan fiction.
Maybe.
Though I can't play much for fan fiction right now. The capture card is broken.
Oh.
Yeah.
So no TV based.
Yeah, no TV based ones.
TV based recording.
Yeah, so we have to do more computer based stuff, which isn't so bad. I'm getting a new computer soon.
Yeah.
You've got yours. So maybe we can do like some Team Fortress videos or something.
Maybe.
Those are pretty cool.
Maybe loadouts.
Loadout could be ridiculous.
We'll have to get you a mic though.
Yeah, maybe. Probably won't be too hard to convince me to get a mic.
But I will have to convince you. Okay, I will remember that.
Well, I do have a really terrible mic from the 90s. The audio is sketchy at best.
Sketchy, I bet. What are you talking about? 90s was a golden time for microphones.
We're talking like white cord, sit on desk, like, oh, a businessman's not going to use, not like a professional microphone.
Why do you have a microphone from the 90s?
I don't know why I do either. I don't know whether it came from my mother doing something or it came from my father when he was working as an engineer. One of the two. But it's in our house.
Okay.
I don't know why I have it.
And now you have it.
I have it because they weren't.
Have you ever used it, like, in recent memory?
I've tried to use it for things, but it's not very good.
I have, so the mic that we record this on is a separate external mic that I run through all sorts of stuff to plug into my computer. And it works okay. Like, the recordings are a little fuzzy sometimes, but, you know, that is what it is. But I also have mics on my laptop, and they are awful. And they've actually recently, like, really broke. And now I've talked to some friends on Skype, and sometimes Skype forgets that I set it over to this new mic, so it'll just use those old ones, and people can't hear me, and when they can, I sound like a robot machine. But before the mics were broken and all that, I was playing Left 4 Dead, because I have Left 4 Dead on my computer. I was like, okay, you know, I'll play it, this will be fun. I forgot that the mics were on, so I also forgot that when I play with friends, we're just assholes to each other, and that carried over to playing with strangers. So I got into the end of a level, and I saw a guy was downed, and we were getting chased by zombies. So my immediate thought was, oh, he's screwed. So I threw a Molotov at him because all the zombies were going for him. So he's getting set on fire. I have people yelling at me like, what the hell are you doing? And all the while, my mics are on. So the audio from the laptop is playing into the mic, which is playing back through everything. I got kicked. Like, I was in there for like 2 minutes, and I just created so much chaos.
That is ridiculous.
Left 4 Dead runs so poorly on my laptop.
Yeah, but it runs. Sort of.
Not really.
Speaking of Skype-esque, my workplace just switched over to using Microsoft Link, which is like an IM and video chat and like meeting-based software from Microsoft. And since they bought up Skype, it's Skype integrated. So you can actually video chat with people on Skype through Link. And anyone within your company that's on it also can IM and video chat, which is kind of cool.
Is there any reason that like Microsoft Link is like better for businesses over like Skype?
For businesses that are already tied into Microsoft Office products, it's good, especially if you use our Microsoft Outlook already for email. In particular, because the two are tied together. So the same per user information, things like title and pictures and stuff, transfer between both, even though they're separate server setups, I think. But they mirror each other. And all your IM conversation history is archived within Outlook to be searchable.
Oh, there you go. That's kind of
nice. Which is cool. And Sync has its own like recording software, so you can record any of your meetings, and I guess over Skype it allows screen sharing and stuff. I don't know if Skype does, showing like all your monitors or individual programs, or
you can kind of do that on Skype. It doesn't work fantastic, but
Link works. Link works pretty well, and it's probably because it's business optimized and it's working through a dedicated server to do it.
Oh, yeah, that kind of works.
Rather than trying to do it.
Can you do video between multiple people, like showing multiple people?
Yeah, although I think unlike Skype, it's limited at 5 video conference, like Skype, 5 videos going at once.
Skype, you can do 5 if one person has a premium account. It's something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's 5 limited anyway. I think you can have any number of callers in the call, like in the meeting, or whatever you're doing, but it will only show 5 at any given time, so it can only stream the 5 signals. You can have it automatically switch to speaker and all that kind of stuff that you get in Google Hangouts or in Skype.
Because Google Hangouts, do you know if they just do 5 or if they go...
I don't know what their limit is. I'm not sure.
Because I tried to use Google... So, there was another podcast that I did a while back, and we had a couple, and they went pretty well, and we had a good time. But one time we were like, oh, let's not use Skype, let's use Google Hangout so we can all see each other. Because if you have multiple, if two people are video chatting, it's fine. Once you get to three, it's only audio. Mm-hmm. But we were like, oh, we should be able to see each other, so we used Google Hangout. It went so badly because not only was it kind of laggy, but in Google Hangout you can throw like pirate hats on yourself, and it actually captures like with where your head moves and everything. And we spent the entire podcast just doing that, which is not a thing that carries over well to an audio podcast.
You might as well have been playing TF2. Because it's a hat simulator, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much a hat simulator. Well, you could replace your face with like a cat or something like that. It was great.
I think there's a cat. There's a seal mask in TF2.
Seal mask.
I don't think there's a cat mask. I don't think so.
Hats, man. How have you bought any? Have you bought any hats off TF2?
I've never bought hats in TF2. Only hats I have were random drops or crafting. So,
okay.
Or trading, I guess. But I don't really trade for hats because I'm more interested in gameplay mechanics and weapons anyways.
Yeah, you're not much of a cosmetic guy?
No, not terribly.
Is there any like stats on like how much money they've made off of hats since it's gone free to play?
I'm not sure if there's any information on that. There might be, but Valve is getting more and more tight-lipped in general, so it's harder to get that kind of information.
Yeah, it was interesting because they're becoming like a bigger and bigger company.
Yeah, and they're now trying to take on some of the console space with the Steam box. Even they're not trying to get like mass market because Linux is always sort of that niche. Although probably more products touching you in your life are Linux based than any other operating system. You just don't know it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
But the Steam box isn't probably not trying to seriously compete with taking console space as much as creating new space for PC users in the living room.
Because it is interesting that this Steam would go for like the console market. Because have they announced the Steam box at all, or is that still like a?
What do you mean?
Like, have they announced whatever it is, like the Steam box?
Yeah, it's not going to be a single producer. So there's going to be multiple companies producing their own version of the Steam box at different levels. I mean, Steam box is basically like a PC with a version of Linux on it that is customized to run the Steam OS or be a Steam OS, which is Linux-based, and run, at this point, just the Linux available games from Steam. It's not their whole library yet, but they're planning on getting more and more of their library available on Linux.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I guess most everything on there is like Windows, pretty much.
Yeah, and a lot of games are available on sort of all three platforms, PC, Mac, and Linux. Things like TF2 are. So you can play across platforms. Didn't used to be that way, but, got there eventually. Made one of the most prized items in TF2 earbuds, like white headphone earbuds, like Apple-esque.
After they switched over for Apple?
Yeah, because when they added Mac as a playable platform for TF2, anyone who signed up during a specific period with a specific end date got those buds for free. But that meant that they're very limited quantity. And of course, Apple is relatively popular. So, the two together, limited quantity, high demand, becomes a very valuable product. I've seen them $50 and upwards for like a cosmetic set of headphones in a video game.
Is that sold by people?
Yeah, they're sold and traded.
Is there like a Steam like marketplace where people can do that, or is that all like just?
Yeah, it used to be all based in just in-game items, right? That was somewhat equated to money because the only thing you could buy with money at the time were keys to unlock crates, which were random drops. And the keys cost $2.50, right? And it was common for a set of earbuds to go for 20 keys, which is $50. And that was sort of a normal currency trading rate for them. So people would talk in like money terms, but say, it's like $3, for earbuds, or saying like 10 keys, or and those were common trading currencies that were referenced pretty often. That and reclaimed metal, which is used for crafting things.
Okay.
And sort of, I guess, later on in the game, about the time they went free to play, they had more and more items available for cash, which changed those equivalencies, but the key stayed at $2.49. And they eventually added the functionality, a bit like Diablo 3, to be able to trade for real money and buy items with real money.
Right. Yeah, because Diablo had that, but apparently it didn't go well. Though I could be talking out my butt.
But that's what it currently has, meaning that any item that you have in TF2, you can sell for real money, redeemable for anything you can buy within Steam.
That's pretty cool.
You can buy everything on Steam. Yeah. Pretty much every good PC game. For the most part. Like 90% of them. Not everyone, but...
That's kind of the thing, like... So, Xbox One, PlayStation 4 have come out. It's kind of like, man, I'm still waiting for that good game to really make me want to buy a console. Now that I've bought a PC, I don't really know if I'm going to... I'm not really interested in either.
Yeah. And, one that looks kind of interesting is Titanfall, but that's also going to be on PC.
It's going to be on PC. There's, I was talking to you about it earlier, Evolve, from the people who made Left 4 Dead. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited for this. And I immediately saw for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I'm like, oh man, that might be what kind of pushes me towards console. Oh, also PC. Oh, well, I'll just keep buying the PC. And I get it, a PC is more expensive than a console, but you just get so much more for it. Because it's not just that you can play a lot of the new games that are coming out. Because there is not an exclusive yet that I've been like, man, gotta do that. And then even last generation, there's not a lot of exclusives that I can really think of that aren't on PC.
And really, the exclusive console game that never makes it to PC happened in large part due to the architecture of consoles versus PCs. And now the PS4 and the Xbox One are both x86 architecture based, meaning that they're just like PCs. Meaning that it doesn't take extra work for the company, I should say it doesn't take a significant amount of extra work to try to optimize your game engine to run on PC versus console. Meaning that a lot of these games, they'll just say, yeah, we'll make our money back, and they'll just make a few minor changes and release it on PC.
Did you ever see Dark Souls on PC?
I did not.
That's a game that was very clearly made for consoles, and then they just also made it for PC. And in the beginning of the game, there are orange soapstones on the ground, and you go up to them, you hit A or X or whatever, and it brings up, hit right bumper for attack, basic attack. If you play in the PC and you access the thing, it says press right bumper for basic attack. I don't have right bumper. I have a keyboard and I have a mouse.
Yeah. It's actually kind of the same in Loadout, but Loadout doesn't do it that way with tutorial. It's still obviously designed for PC, but it's also designed to be playable with the gamepad. So when you're going through the menu settings, it actually has really nice graphical looking buttons on one side and just the normal letters for keys on the other. So it's they kind of want you to play this gamepad, and I mean it's third person, it'd probably play well, but anytime it's a shooter, I think regardless, a mouse gives you some help and advantage, unless there's auto aim on.
Because I've played a lot of third person shooters, and that's kind of I suck at first person shooters. I'm awful, but third person shooters, that's where I throw down. Stuff like Gears of War, things like that. And it might be partially because of the auto aim, but I would feel playing a first person shooter mouse. That's just clicking. I can do that. Well, playing a third-person shooter on a computer with a mouse always feels weird to me. Even though, what's the difference? 3 feet, the camera's backwards, And
I thought it was going to be... Because I played some third-person things like the first Witcher and Witcher 2. Both those I'd played, and they're third-person over the shoulder. The first Witcher's controls were just odd. The second got better, changed up the combat system entirely.
And the third one hasn't come out yet, right?
Third one hasn't come out.
But
And that one's... Second one was Assassins. No, it's not Assassins of Kings. That's
I thought
the
that
second
was the second one.
That's the second one. I'm trying to think of the third one.
Assassins of Super Kings.
I don't
Like
remember what it
the
is.
Kings of the Kings.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be a good game regardless.
But yeah, you were saying the controls, third
Yeah,
person?
so those are a little bit odd. You get used to them, and those are very RPG-ish. I expected it to be hard to play Loadout, coming from mainly playing first-person shooters based on PC, but it is surprisingly easy to get used to. I think in part because the physics are so ridiculous that you can take advantage of a ridiculous number of things. Like just the way that you move, and if people don't have their field of view set high, it's really easy to jump out of it. And it's one of those, like, everything in that game is about evasive movement during combat. Like, a double tap on any directional key, or W, A, or D, is a roll in that direction. But most people don't roll, they just jump. And I think in part because when you're aiming down sights, I think actually on the menu it says holding breath, but when you're aiming down sights, it decreases the size of the reticle and you aim a little bit more precisely, and you move slower. But you maintain your speed while jumping. So if you just jump around constantly, you can be aiming down sights and flying around a person.
And jumping's not so bad as opposed to like rolling is probably a little bit confusing. I don't even know if you could.
I don't know if you can shoot while rolling. I don't really use the roll mechanics that much because the jumping is almost always more advantageous.
Well, and it's easier to do probably too because it's like spacebar or something.
Yeah, spacebar.
Yeah,
it's pretty
spacebar.
simple.
As opposed to because double tap's always a little weird.
Yeah, and it's always nice to be able to jump onto an object or gain high ground in that game as well. Just because high ground in first-person shooters is always advantageous. And it's kind of, I should say, it is a third-person shooter, but it's kind of like a first-person shooter in a lot of the way it handles. Because your character's kind of just there for decoration.
Yeah, well, like the reticle and everything.
Yeah. So everything else handles pretty smoothly normally, as you would expect from a first-person shooter.
It's kind of interesting that it's a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
I honestly forget sometimes that Team Fortress 2 is a first-person shooter.
Mm.
I'm so used to seeing the characters in cutscenes that I just instinctively think that it's a third-person shooter. That'd be a weird game to see in third person.
And there are times in the game that you can go into third person. So anytime you taunt, you go into third person.
Oh, yeah.
And there are taunt kills that actually do damage, and most of them kill instantly. I think pretty much all of them kill instantly, except under certain circumstances. For the ones that are taunt kills, rather than just like a normal taunt. And there's also two different, there might be three now, drinks for the scout. One which makes him invincible, one which makes him take mini crits and deal mini crits. And actually, it's only the first one that puts you in third person while you're using it, which is kind of advantageous too, because
you get to see around you.
Yeah, you can be invincible for a short period of time. You can't do damage. You can't shoot while you're invincible. But the nice thing is, you can then run through just a huge amount of enemy damage, and then you can stop and be looking around a corner before you lose that invincibility.
Oh, and you're third person the whole time?
Third person the whole time up until that point,
Interesting.
and then you zoom sort of back into first person.
Have you ever seen Dead Island in third person?
I've not.
I'll try to remember to post the link in the description, because a lot of people are playing Dead Island right now because it's actually free on Xbox Live. Dead Island is a crappy game, but in third person it gets so much worse. So Dead Island is first person, through and through. Like, that's how you're supposed to play it. But early when it came out, the guy bought it for PC, and he, just messing around with like the code or whatever, he was able to figure out how to get it to third person. And if you can figure out what it looks like, because if you run in the game and you look at your shadow, your character is basically flailing their arms around in like a bunch of different directions. And they just look so inhuman. And like when they swing, the arms are like super robotic. Like they like jut out to the side at like an incredibly uncomfortable angle, and then like move forward. It's awful looking.
But is it supposed to look right from the first person's perspective?
In first
and
person,
it's just ridiculous otherwise?
yeah, and it's weird
And it's
too.
the same animation.
Because when you look at other people
It
playing
looks-
the game, it looks fine.
Yeah.
But when you look at your shadow, you can tell something's not right with the character models. And so this guy changed the game to third person, and the character model is just like flailing around, like running, like with a crowbar in their hand. And, like, combat's really difficult because like the arms move really stupidly.
That's awesome.
Did you ever play Dead Island?
I did not play Dead Island.
Dead Island's a pretty shitty game.
Yeah.
People kind of like it, you know, and like especially now that it's out. Like I was talking to some people, and they're like, "Why do you hate Dead Island?" And I'm like, "Because I bought it for $60, and it's this was before they fixed a lot of the crap in it.
Yeah.
There were the like cutscenes that didn't work. Like there's a part where you're going through this mall, or maybe not a mall, like a warehouse or something. You push in a pallet jack. This is all I remember. You push in a pallet jack, and then all of a sudden you're in like the fucking warp from Warhammer 40k. It's like everything's purple. You can guess that you're on top of a building, but I'm not entirely sure. And like, and the building is like this weird warped purple. The background's all this weird warped purple, and your characters are talking, and like they're putting something into something, and you're like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, watch out! And then like you see some zombies walk onto like this like gray warp purple, and then all of a sudden you're back in the warehouse. It's like, the fuck just happened? Like I was playing with Bramble Parrow, and it was like we were both just like on Xbox Live, just like what is happening?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the game was released that way.
That game, like, well before it came out, it had, like, the best trailer it could have possibly had.
Right.
That got people really excited.
That's why I bought it.
Yeah. But it did not live up to that trailer.
Not at all. I've been thinking about that game a little bit more lately. And, like, the thing about it is, it had a lot of ideas from other games that are good ideas, but none of them work together. Like, all the ideas work independently and they don't support each other. And they actually kind of hinder each other. Like, you know, you're playing, like a Dungeon Siege or Diablo or something, and, like, there's a sword, but then there's different adjectives they'll throw on top of the swords, and that makes, you know, changes its stats. So if it's a wicked sword, now it does, like, +1 damage.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's just, and then, you know, you find a wicked axe, same thing, +1 damage. Well, Dead Island was the same way, but it was like with a wrench or a baseball bat or something. So you would pick up like this wicked wrench, and you're like, why is it called what makes this wrench wicked? I don't understand. And what really made it stupid was that all the, like, in an RPG, you know, you pick up that wicked axe, and it's like, oh, I need to be level 5 to use it. Dead Island was the same way. So you're fighting a zombie horde, you pick up the thing closest to you to go just fight them. Oh, I can't use this wrench, I'm not high enough level to kill a zombie with a wrench. You just had one and it broke! Use this one!
That's something that's never made sense in RPGs in general.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that you shouldn't be able to use it. It should be that it's, for whatever reason, worse than what you're using until you reach a certain level.
Yeah.
Right? Or something to that effect. Because I can imagine that if you had a sword of a certain quality where its balance was, like, different to where it took an expert wielder to become actually good with it, otherwise you just want a heavier blade to be able to hit harder, something like that. And that would make sense for a combat system in a game. Having level locks on things is only sort of to hit reward caps.
Yeah.
Get that reward area of the brain going. It doesn't have anything to do with logic.
Well, and like, I think Dark Souls really did a good job with it, because there's a few different types of weapons, and to make them more level appropriate, you need to upgrade those weapons. But what locks you out from using some weapons is just your stats. Yeah. So like, if your character is not very strong, of course you can't wield a great axe in one hand. Mm-hmm. You know, like that, and that just makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that, because that means, like, you know, if I'm more dexterity based, and I'm using like a light weapon, like a rapier or something, you know, I don't have to be strong, but I'm not locked out from using it when I find it either. You know? Yeah, but it was so stupid in Dead Island, because it's all about, like, you know, be resourceful and try to survive. And it's like, why can't I use the axe? Or axe?
Wasn't there something about accidentally switching to alcohol too, and like other things on your?
Yeah, you could accidentally drink alcohol, which wasn't good.
Yeah.
And there was one character that actually got a bonus while using alcohol, but you had to have a certain perk. Oh, and the perks were like a good idea gone stupid, because you could when you level up, you get to pick a perk, and these could augment your character. And there was there was Fury. Fury was like every character had a different Fury move. Mm-hmm. So like I played as Sam B, and he could just punch people. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But then every character had their own kind of stat thing. And then last was this one that was all about like unlocking items and things. And every character had that unlocking item thing. So when I was playing with Rambo Para, he put all of his points into unlocking things. Mm-hmm. You get nothing good out of the chest that you unlock. Nothing. It's all crap. He's like, that was a waste of points. I put it into my character's abilities, which was he could recover health faster, which was kind of nice. But like the first one is like Sam B recovers health slightly quicker than normal. Okay, second one, because there's like an upgraded version. Sam B is able to recover from painful wounds. Oh, okay. Sam B is able to regenerate organs, is the last one. Sam B is some kind of inhuman angel creature. I don't understand. Yeah, that game.
That's interesting.
And see, that kind of stuff is paired up with, like, it's like somebody wrote like these wacky, crazy like RPG ideas and like with stuff like that. And then there's another guy on the other side who designed the other half of the game who made the trailer like that really depressing. And like there are moments that you can tell where they're really trying to be like, isn't this sad? But the rest of the game is so stupid, you don't care.
Yeah. Well, the trailer is sad if you watch it the original way. Scary if you watch it the forward way.
Yeah, like the proper.
Yeah.
But it's such a good way to tell the story. And then it's got that really sad music that plays in the background. Mm-hmm. I can hear it in my head now. Now I'm sad. I was at a... I don't even know where I was. I was seeing a play that a friend was in. And like, before the play started, they started playing that music. I'm like, oh, now I don't even want to see the play. Now I'm just thinking about the sad thing. Oh, Dead Island. Always depressing me in one way or another. But yeah, I bought that game when it came out. I can't believe they made a sequel to that game.
There was a sequel?
Oh yeah, Dead Island Riptide, I think is what it was called.
Okay. So it wasn't just called 2?
No, it was not called Dead Island.
I probably just thought it was an expansion pack.
It might as well have been an expansion pack, yeah. I heard it was better than Dead Island 2, or Dead Island, or whatever. But
better than the future Dead Island 2 that hasn't come
yeah, Dead Island 2 is going to be awful, just to let everybody know.
It'll have an amazing trailer, though.
Actually, they tried to do another sad trailer for Dead Island Riptide. I was like, fuck you. No. Shut up. Alright? You make sad trailers.
We already know that you lie.
Yeah, we already know that your games are going to be crap. Just shut up. It was like these people in a boat, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen? And they're like, they have to blow themselves up because they're surrounded by zombies. Like, shut up. Alright? You're dumb. Yeah. You're dumb, Dead Island. Whatever story you're trying to tell is completely independent of the crap that you're going to release to us. Dead Island. Well, on this depressing note, I think this is a good time to end the podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, join us next week, because if you've enjoyed this podcast without Tim, that's how they're all going to be from this point on.
Never coming back.
Never coming back. Fuck that guy.
Yep. Fuck him.
Fuck him. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yep. Wait, you were saying that to me?
No, not to you.
Oh, God.
Ah!